Hello everyone, today I'm going to be reviewing Forbidden Desert, the second game in GameWright's Forbidden series. This is a game about working as a team to escape a desert before dying of heat stroke or dehydration. You do so by trying to explore the desert and discover parts of an ancient airship which you can take to escape the desert. So this is what the very start of a game of Forbidden Desert will look like. You will place all the pieces on the board. It will be a 5x5 grid with one empty space in the center, and it will be all of the 24 locations of the game. It will be done this way, kind of like a memory game, because you want to look for key pieces of information for this game to make your life much easier. One aspect is you will want to look for cards that have these symbols. These are the pieces of the airship that you're actually going to have to build to escape. This game has a really interesting way of working where the location of these pieces is only determined after excavating both of the locations. Once you do that, you'll follow the arrows for the row and column. This tile is going to be where the piece is located. You must then go to that tile and pick up the piece using one of the actions on your turn. Other key pieces of information that you might want to pay attention to are these pieces. These are for items. Whenever you excavate a tile with one of those, you draw an item card, and these will give you benefits throughout the game. Another key piece of information that you might want to look for is tunnels. These locations right here that have this, they're tunnels. They will act as shelter, so there is a card in this game that will cause you to take damage. So when the sun beats down, you will take damage of sorts. Basically, you are dehydrated. Water is a resource, and essentially it's your life. So being in the tunnel is one way that you could shelter yourself. Another benefit of the tunnels is you can use them to walk through the tunnel to another tunnel somewhere else on the board. There are 3 tunnels, so excavating at least 2 of them will give you a way to move around the board. A way that you could restore your water is using the wells or the oasis. These spaces will actually restore water to the players on them when they are excavated. However, there is one mirage token, and basically this does absolutely nothing. However, it looks identical to the oasis tokens. The Oasis tokens are the only ones with this backing except for the Mirage. So you'll know where the water is for the most part. So it's very important that you remember which one is the Mirage so you don't accidentally go there and waste a turn. And those are all of the key details of the board except for your escape. Once the airship has been constructed, so all of the pieces have been discovered and brought to this space, and all the players are on this space, you can then airlift out using the airship. Now I'll show you what the game actually looks like while you are playing it. So this is what the game will look like at the very start of the game once you actually start playing. All the tiles get flipped over, so hopefully you remember exactly where everything is. All players will start on this tile, the one that has your airplane that has crashed and has the icon for your pawns. Players will then go through their turns. It works very simply. Every player gets 4 actions, and they can determine how they want to use their actions. The first action that they can do is move. Moving works very simply. Just move from your space to an adjacent tile. That is one movement. The tile does have to be unblocked, and these sand dunes, they are what blocks it. So for instance, if you have this icon on a piece, it is blocked and you cannot move through it, and if you are on it, you are stuck there. However, fortunately, there is another action that you can take, which is taking an adjacent sand token and removing it. This counts as having 2 sand tokens on it, so it would take 1 action to flip it, 1 action to remove it. Another action that you can do is you can take one of the tokens that you're on that has no sand tokens on it and flip it over. It has been excavated and it will remain that way for the rest of the game. you then get anything that's on it. For instance, in this case, you would get an item. Another action you can do is picking up a part. So here's how the criteria for parts work. Just like I said before, if you have both the locators of the part found, so the one for rows and columns, they'll have the arrows. Where the arrows meet, that is the tile that the part is on. The tile must be excavated, then you can take an action to pick it up. And lastly, if you are on the same space as another player, you can exchange items or water as you see fit. So with your turns, there are also various things that your characters can do. They have abilities, as well as their own individual amount of water in their canteen. If their canteen ever runs out, or they'll have 0, however, they're not dead. If something were to require them to use up a water, they then go down to the skull and crossbones, and that's what caused them to lose. If one player loses, everyone loses. Every player will have their own specific role card, just like in the first game. Just like that, they'll have special abilities. However, added into this game is your canteen. This is your water supply. Each character will have their own individual one, some bigger than others. And if it ever drops to skull and crossbones, that player's out of the game, and if any player's out of the game, everyone loses. So what can these characters do? The explorer can move and clear sand and use the Doom Blaster diagonally. The archaeologist can clear 2 sand from 1 tile per action. The climber can move to the block tiles, and they may also take one other player with them when they move. The navigator can move another player up to 3 unblocked tiles per action. The water carrier can take 2 water from excavated water tiles for 1 action, and give waters to players on adjacent tiles for free at any time. And the meteorologist can spend an action to draw fewer storm cards, so per action they can draw 1 fewer storm card. You can also spend 1 action to look at the storm cards equal to the storm level, and optionally place one of them at the bottom of the deck, which can be very helpful. In this game you'll have a storm marker just like this. It will keep track of how the storm has progressed. It will also give you another way you can lose. If the storm ever progresses to this point, the game is over, you have lost. I currently have it set up for the hardest difficulty for the 2-player option. There's also a 4 and 5-player option on the back. So, because we are in the section for 3, it means at the end of each turn, you will draw 3 cards from the storm deck. And what will happen will go as follows. When you flip the card of the storm deck, you will actually move this missing space that many spaces in that direction. So this is basically the eye of the storm. It's a giant sandstorm that will move tiles. So in this case, it's 3 up. It can only move up 2 spaces, so it'll go as far as it can go. And it will push them down. That's a really cool mechanic about this game and where the memory component really comes in. Then, any tile that was moved this way gets a sand token. You will then continue and progress through the remaining cards. So in this case, you'll have 1 down, which will move this tile down, and then you'll put another sand token. Since it has 2 on it now, you flip that over, it is currently blocked. And then the last one that you do. So 2 over. There are other results that you can see from this deck. So for instance, storm picks up. This is quite simple. You just move the sandstorm meter up 1 tick. So if you look at it now, you'll see that's in the section of 4. So as of next turn, you'll be drawing 4 cards at the end of each turn, not 3. The last card that you'll see from the storm deck is this. Sun Beats Down. Basically, unless you're in a tunnel or you have the Sun Shield item card, you will lose 1 water off of your card. This is what will cause you to die of dehydration. So when you play this game, you'll get to the point eventually where you discover all of the pieces of the airship, you collect them, you find the escape, you bring all of the people there, and then you win the game. you take the airship, and all the characters get to fly away to safety. And that's the game. So I am going to say this is my favorite game in the Forbidden series. I did enjoy the first game a lot. However, I found that it really is just too simple. This game seems like it's a lot when you look at it, but honestly it's not. It's basically another game in the Forbidden series. It feels like a game in the Forbidden series, and it just has more of the things that you liked from it. It adds a memory component, which is really nice, but it's not too difficult. Honestly, just remembering a couple of key points is easy. And you have the great moment where you are on the verge of just about to lose, and you're on your last turn to win, and you're about to flip over the tile, and you went, wait, was it this tile or that tile? And that really makes this game fantastic. Plus the fact that you can make it harder or easier, how there are so many various roles that you can play with, it adds a lot of replayability to this game, and I really enjoy it. I'm just going to say this. If you found the first game in the Forbidden series, Forbidden Island, to be a little bit too simple for you, which, let's face it, it is a very simple but great game, this is just a better option for you. It's a little bit harder to learn. It's definitely harder to win it, but it's that much better as well. I actually think that this game is the best game in the Forbidden series, and if you're going to get one of them, you should get this. However, just because you have Forbidden Island does not necessarily mean you should get this, but if you feel like you're longing for more, then yes, I'd recommend getting Forbidden Desert as well. And if you want a softer alternative, something that's not as difficult to play for, let's say you have new people that want to play who've never played a board game before, then Forbidden Island is a better introductory game. But overall, I will definitely recommend Forbidden Desert as the game that everyone should have in the Forbidden series if you're going to get one of these games. And it's a great way for you to play cooperative games with other people. It's fairly simple, it's not that expensive, and I love it. So thank you everyone. Hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you feel in the comments below, and have a wonderful day.